So if you're looking to build a new home, a lot of times people ask the question, do I really need representation for myself or can I just work directly with the builder? There is a lot of things to think about that nobody really does consider until it's often too late, so I'd like to discuss those with you today. My name is Damien Baden. I'm the local real estate agent in Northeast Ohio. And before you even buy new construction or consider buying new construction, the number one thing that you want to do is make sure if you are going to have buyer's representation that you actually use somebody that's a new construction expert, somebody that's done this multiple times, worked with multiple different builders. The biggest problem that most people don't realize is there's over 7,000 real estate agents in Northeast Ohio. What that means to you is a lot of them do not know or really understand new construction, which that's not going to be very helpful if you're looking for somebody to represent you and you're their guinea pig. So for somebody like myself, I've helped over 400 people build a new home. So I've worked with multiple builders. I've been through the process so many different times. I've seen a lot of great things happen and I've seen some bad things happen. The biggest thing is understanding how to navigate those. So one of the biggest things is, and I have taken some notes here to make sure I don't miss anything. So having a new construction expert, somebody that really understands the construction process, they're going to be able to answer any questions that you may have that come up. And unfortunately, sometimes we might not have all the answers, but if somebody's familiar with the process, they're going to know where to go or who to go to get those. Other things that come up in the new construction process are weather, labor shortages, as well as material shortages. And materials are something we're experiencing right now that's been a big problem, as well as labor, due to people getting more money to stay at home than to go to work. So definitely, when you go into a sales office, the one thing, and this is number one that you want to consider, when you go into a sales office, the biggest thing that you got to keep in mind is they're always going to treat you good. They're always going to take care of you. However, at the end of the day, either the salesperson or if you're working directly with a builder, if it's a smaller builder, they're looking out for themselves. They're not looking out for your best interests. Their goal is to sell as many homes and get the best margins that they can get when they're selling a home. Therefore, they're not looking out, nor do they have any fiduciary responsibility to take good care of you. They're taking care of themselves first. So, easily said that your representation with them is nothing. They're representing themselves, why it's so important for you to have representation for yourself. The other big thing that a lot of people don't realize is when you're building, there's a lot of different scenarios that can come into play. Either, the custom builder, production builder, the different types of communities, and really just having somebody that knows the different communities and knows what's going on with the different builders out there, they can really pinpoint you and get you into, the right place much faster than trying to just, do your fact finding and figure this out all on your own. The other big thing is the quality of construction. There are certain clients that I know they're very particular and I know they want certain things, and there's certain types of builders that are just not going to satisfy their needs or wants. And at the end, if they get into a contract with them to build their house, they're going to be completely let down, completely sad, and it's going to be a horrible experience for them. So that's another reason why having representation and somebody leading you down the right path is extremely important. Something that I see go kind of goofy sometimes is, guiding somebody to the right neighborhood and then the right location within the neighborhood and then the right home site or lot, however you want to refer to it as. And one of the biggest things is that I've seen with people going in without representation is the salesperson sells them a really bad lot. And sometimes they put a premium or, extra cost on that lot only to take it away to make that buyer feel like they've received some sort of special pricing or incentive, when at the end of the day, it was just a bait and switch to get them on a lot that they couldn't sell to many other people that have come through the doors. And that can be a very scary situation, especially if you have to move for some reason quickly and you've got one of the worst lots in the community. It's not going to be an easy sale if you want to try to recoup or make money on that purchase. So, just keep that in mind. Other things that a lot of people don't understand or even consider asking would be, what type of basement do you want? Do you want, just a regular, basement, or is it on a slab, or is it going to have, daylight or garden views, or is it going to be a full walkout? And understanding if you want certain things up front, making sure that you're looking in communities that actually offer those, or even cities. Certain cities are so flat that you're going to have, either slabs or just a standard type basement, and you're not going to have any of the extra appeals that some people like myself would be looking for with a basement. Other things to consider are utilities. I had somebody the other day, bring up the question about utility boxes. Am I going to have a utility box in my front yard? I have one in my front yard. Some people get really bent out of shape after they, have their house under construction. All of a sudden, this big green glob, sits in the corner of their property. Well, if you have certain things or are looking out for certain things up front, you can easily avoid those at all costs when planning appropriately. The other thing that a lot of people might not think about, and in certain cultures it's extremely popular, but the facing of the house, and do you want morning sun, do you want evening sun, do you want sun throughout the day? These are questions that if you're planning properly, you can obviously make good decisions and get exactly what you're looking for. Most importantly though, when you're looking at neighborhoods, you're looking at locations in the neighborhood and specific home sites, it's all about resale as far as I'm concerned, because at some point in time I'm going to get a call to actually have to sell this property, and I'd rather have something that's extremely positive in most people's eyes versus something that maybe you were talked into. It sounded good at the time, but gosh, this is a really bad home site. I'll never forget, there was somebody moving because they had large dogs, and they happened to go to a builder without talking to me first. Luckily, I stopped them from doing it because they were buying in the entrance of a community and it back to a 5-lane highway. And it was over $500,000. In this area, that is not a good decision. Not something that I would promote my clients to at least do. And luckily, I had a conversation and we ended up looking for other locations and found them exactly what they were looking for. And they were much happier today because of that. On top of that, just making sure that you're picking the right options or structural changes. A lot of times, people get a little confused. There's always budgets involved, and just really having somebody that understands, what's good for resale, what's not, what can be done today, what can't be done tomorrow, or what could be done tomorrow to where you might not do certain things and you can do them down the road. Obviously, if there's no budget whatsoever, which is very rare, then it might not matter. But the other thing is too, depending on the type of builder you're working with, are they going to allow certain structural changes or modifications to the floor plan? With custom builders, yes. With semi-custom, sometimes. With production builders, unless it's an option, it's not going to happen. So those are just things that you want to keep in mind as well. Another big thing that I get a lot of questions on is, the paperwork. And a lot of people don't understand when it comes to new construction that you're using the builder's contract. It's going to be a one-sided contract, and there's certain things in all their contracts that I like to point out to my buyers just to make sure there's no surprises, there's no issues, and you're actually getting what you think you're getting, because when you walk through a model, a lot of times that's their showcase, and they're going to be showing you all kinds of frills that you're probably not going to be getting or optioning in your home. So having somebody like myself that understands that and can kind of help you, just really make sure that you get what you're getting, so you're not let down as you're going through the process and saying, oh, I thought that was included. One of the biggest things that you see a lot of times, or you don't see, like inside garages, they might not drywall. They might, do drywall, but it's left with, fire tape. It's really ugly looking, especially if you're in a higher end home where, texturing and painting would be a simple option to add, but a lot of times you don't think about it till it's too late. Then they can't do it, or they're going to charge you twice the amount, and it's going to cost you more money, but at the end it's just going to leave you very frustrated. So that's something else to think about. Also, with HOAs and closing costs. So a lot of times there's capital contributions. Also, builders will tend to push more fees onto a buyer in this area versus when you're buying resale. So understanding those different things, understanding the fact that, taxes and how they work with new construction, because a confused mind's always going to say no, but at least if you have a good understanding of what's going on, what's taking place, one, you're going to feel more educated. Two, you're not going to be as confused. And, the good thing is working with somebody that is a new construction expert, you're going to have an opportunity not to have unwanted surprises, because building is just as emotional process as buying, but it's drawn out over several months. So it gets to be a lot more emotional, and it can be either positive or negative because, once again, you didn't ask the right questions, you didn't know what to ask, and that's where having that representation becomes very important. And it just reduces a lot of stress and overwhelm because you have somebody guiding you and looking out for your best interest versus the builder or the salesperson working for the builder that just wants you to buy so they can meet their quotas, hit their margins, and build more houses. On top of that, when it comes to negotiating, a lot of people say that there's no negotiating with new construction, and in many cases that can be true, but there are a couple areas that you can negotiate. There's, certain things that I always negotiate for my clients, and I even put a guarantee behind it, which if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out. But in the event that I cannot do certain negotiations, I will take care of you different ways, which is a different video, not this one today. But explaining what can be negotiated, and then also considering mortgage and title. And those are two areas where negotiations can be very helpful if you have somebody on your side. Last but not least, you have somebody representing you throughout the entire building process. So this is all the builder appointments. If it's the color appointment, or, the framing, or the pre-drywall, going through and doing the final punch at the end, any of those appointments, it's important to have your new construction expert there with you, because what you might be hearing, you might not understand, and having somebody that can explain it, that understands you, can definitely make that a lot more helpful. A lot of times with my clients, there's going to be questions that come up throughout the process. Sometimes they're very simple questions that they just don't understand because it's their first time. So I'm also able to answer a lot of questions throughout the process, and it also keeps the construction managers or the builders able to do their job without having to stop and answer questions that I can easily answer myself. There are things that come up where, you might walk out on site one day and you have some concerns, or you see a mistake, or there's some problems out there. Making sure you have somebody on your side, you're not going to get, and I hate saying it like this, but sometimes you can feel bullied by the other side, because the contracts are written very one-sided, and they kind of control the whole situation. So making sure that you have somebody that's seeing your point of view and telling you, hey, that makes sense, or you know what, they're actually right with what they're saying, it gives my clients a lot more peace of mind knowing that at least there's somebody representing them, has that fiduciary responsibility for them to take care of them and make sure that things are going right. Other thing to think about is closing. A lot of times closing can be just as emotional as, actually purchasing the house and getting it under contract. At this point in time, a lot of things are coming together quickly. You've got your move going. You've got, construction feeling like it's getting slammed at the very last second to get everything touched up. And then on top of that, you've got the closing process with your mortgage, unless you're paying cash, and then just understanding all the different title stuff and everything else. So this is another time that having representation, you have somebody in your corner to guide you through those processes. And then finally, with warranty, the big thing here is, how big is the warranty? What's the warranty like? Are they coming back in 1 year? Are they coming back in 30 to 60 days after close? Understanding the things that go on in the home with shrinkage, and in our seasons that we have, where you have extreme hot and cold throughout the year, with our 4 different seasons, you're going to have some shrinking and expanding taking place in your home, and understanding what's going to happen during that time, so you're not freaking out thinking you bought a lemon. These are things that are normal, and a lot of people misrepresent, because everything sounds new, that your home's going to be perfect, and in the first year it's not. So once again, the 6 things that you want to keep in mind, and why it's very important for you to have a new construction expert, not just a buyer's agent, but somebody that understands new construction, is the salesperson or the builder represents themselves. They do not represent you. On top of that, making sure you find the right type of builder to satisfy your needs and wants. Also making sure that you're taken to the right neighborhoods. shown the right stuff within the neighborhoods of your preference, and then also making sure you select the right lot. On top of that, when you select your floor plan, making sure you have the right options and structural features that make sense not only for today but for tomorrow, so you're not unhappy a year or two after you're in the home. Also, when it comes to paperwork, just making sure that you understand the paperwork, that there's no surprises, and there's a lot of stuff. Contracts are very big, so it's just making sure that you truly understand everything that you're signing, so you're not confused and you're happy. And obviously, by signing those, making sure you're getting the best deals. So, is it some options that were able to be thrown in? Is it something with the mortgage and the title in terms of fees? What kind of incentives are out there? And just making sure you're not leaving money on the table. And then last but not least, just having representation throughout the whole build process and even after the home is closed. By going at it this on your own, there's going to be mistakes made, and some could cost you a lot, not only in money, but time and frustration. So at the end of the day, have yourself a new construction expert. If you're interested in learning more about me, there'll be some stuff below this video to where you can connect with me very easily. I look forward to, maybe talking to you in the future, and I hope you found this helpful.